The story begins with the boy driving his Ferrari to school. And the name of this lucky guy? None other than Shin Yuan himself. Everyone takes pictures, shocked, and soon, a baddie steps out of the car. The guys nearby start complaining, this bastard just entered school, and is already dating the goddess of the second year. A guy with glasses, his eyes trembling, says that life is easy when you're born rich and good looking. You just pick whoever you want. But his friend beside him disagrees, saying that Shin Yuan isn't just picking whoever he wants. He's picking everyone. Even the first-year girls aren't being spared. Our boy is walking beside his date, and let's just say, she's got that confident posture, chest up to the sky. The girls watching are jealous of her, wondering if they should try to win him over again. One friend, applying lipstick, tells another not to give up. Opportunities must be created. Meanwhile, the king himself is just happy. However, this luxurious life of his didn't last long. As soon as he finished high school and went to university, the fun was over. That's because his family, which ran 3 travel agencies, went bankrupt, and not only that, they were left with millions in debt. He gets to his dorm room and calls his friends to play some League of Legends. But they just tell him to scram, saying it's no fun if he's not paying for everything. Right in front of him, our boy realizes he was abandoned by this bunch of fakes the moment he ran out of money. The worst part? His parents and sister now live in a cramped little place while he has to stay in the university dorms. In this situation, all that freedom he once felt disappeared. They thought it was over until something happened. He approaches a girl leaning against the wall. This was his current girlfriend, known as Jo Wanting. And right away, she delivers the obvious news, folks. Their relationship is over. She simply says she hopes he finds someone who understands him better in the future. The poor guy is stunned. He says they've been together for 3 years. How can she just break up with him out of nowhere? Does she have no heart? But the girl doesn't spare him. She says their relationship was never built on pure love. Besides, if they ever see each other again, he better not call her king. She hates that kind of nickname. Or rather, she already has one foot out the door and tells him never to see her again. Shin Yuan, however, relaxes and lets out a sigh just as she reaches for the car door handle, saying her friend has arrived. He stops her. She asks what he wants, and he tells her to return all those expensive designer bags he bought for her. This makes her furious. She says that after 3 years of dating, the least she deserves is to keep all the junk he gave her. Shin Yuan tells her that if she doesn't want to return them, they can always go on one last adventure. But she, enraged, just tells him to go to hell. Then the guy in the car calls her Chang and tells her to get in. And while at it, he looks at Shin Yuan and asks if he wants a ride. At that moment, Shin Yuan realizes that when he called her Ching, she made a scene. But when this guy says it, she doesn't care. Still, he simply tells the guy not to worry, he lives nearby. But the man insists, saying he's in no hurry. If Shin Yuan wants a ride, all he has to do is ask. He just wants to make sure the guy gets home safe. However, Shin Yuan knows this bastard only wants to get him in the car to humiliate him. So he leans against the window and tells the guy he really is a good person. But there's no need to worry, he's just a few steps away. He opens the car door for Zhu Wanting and tells the guy to take good care of her, because she's a really nice girl. The guy smirks and says not to worry, she's in good hands, and with that, Shin Yuan nods. He says he appreciates those words. Men like them should really give their best to women. That's why it's good for the guy to know that her favorite condoms are mint flavored. Also, there's no point in buying her overly fancy lingerie. She finds it uncomfortable, and her favorite roleplay outfits, doctor and police officer. Right there, he drops all the information for the guy to realize he's a fool. However, the dude in the car isn't too happy with this free lesson, and quickly slams the door before speeding off. Shin Yuan is left there thinking that the guy just doesn't understand. He was only trying to help. Besides, he hopes Wan Qing does well in life. After all, she probably thinks this was the best choice. They have nothing to do with each other anymore, so he wishes her the perfect life. Our boy is an emotionless Sigma, folks. Not only did he remain unfazed by the breakup, but he also roasted both of them and walked away unbothered. But then, by a twist of fate, the system appears. And it says that maybe everyone deserves the chance to live a perfect life. That's when the perfect life system begins to load. Shin Yuan stats pop up: -21 years old, 1.8, 2 meters tall. Why am I reading this guy's stats? No idea, man. We don't even care about that. Shin Yuan stands there, confused, wondering what kind of madness is appearing in front of him. And then, the system speaks. To live the perfect life, he doesn't just need money, he needs admiration from the opposite sex. His first mission is to spend money on an appropriate person of the opposite sex with an affinity score of at least 60. By doing this, he will gain more admiration. Whatever amount he spends on her, he will get back, multiplied by 3. And if the affinity increased in the meantime, he would earn double. At least the math is easy to understand. He earns 3 times what he spends, and if affinity rises, well, he earns 6 times. He's standing there, glancing around nervously. And then, the first victim appears. Folks, it's the trash tier counselor. But let's be real, there's nothing trash about her. She's top tier. She's imp. Impressed, saying that Shin Yuan is a real man. A guy shouldn't be suffering just because a girl broke up with him. He's standing there, all unsure, and then he notices something above her head. There's a little heart with 65 inside it. That's her affinity score. Right away, he starts believing that maybe this little system is real, and the counselor tells him to cheer up and not let this bring him down. Feeling a bit embarrassed, he thanks her while thinking that he might have just gained an advantage. Then she comments he applied for a scholarship, right? After all, the guy's broke as hell, and she says that soon, it might be approved. But clearly he trusts the system way too much, because he immediately tells her not to worry about the scholarship anymore. After all, it wouldn't make much difference considering the size of his family's debt. The trash tier queen tells him that if he ever has any problems in the future, he can come to her, even if it's about romance. With that, she waves and walks away, and Shin Yuan is left thinking she fits all the system's requirements, so in theory, the money should triple. It was time to test it out, so he grabs her hand. He then thanks her for her encouraging words, and asks if she'd like to go out for some bubble tea with him, and just like that, he's already investing. She was looking a little shy but happy, and right away, Shin Yuan starts doing the math. He had 87. Damn, this guy is broke. That's barely $15. If the money tripled, he should go up to 99, and that's exactly what happens. That's when he starts thinking, if he just kept spending on her, the money would keep multiplying. This was the opportunity he needed to pay off his family's debts and finally get out of this miserable situation. It was time to go back to being his old self, or maybe even better. The problem? Multiplying 99 is nothing, so the first objective was to get a large amount of money and the right person to spend it on, and this madman, he already hit up loan sharks, borrowed from banks, and managed to scrape together 49,000. There's a risk he'll get killed and ruin his credit forever, but it's all or nothing. The only issue is that he has to be careful with the gift he's about to buy for his teacher. She knows he's broke, so she might refuse to accept it. 1 hour passes. He bought a Prada bag for her and spent almost all the money. The plan? Tell her it's just a cheap knockoff so she'll accept it. The only problem? He's standing outside her door knocking, and he doesn't even know if she's married. Man, the queen answers, and I'm sure she puts love into her cooking. She looks a little surprised, wondering what this lunatic is doing at her door, and then he tells her that ever since he started school, she's always taken such good care of him. Now that he realizes how precious her support is, he decided to bring her a gift. Lashu immediately notices that it looks expensive and refuses to accept it. She tells him that as a teacher, it's hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for the next part. Let's crush our 100 like goal. Your support keeps this going. If you want the next part, type next part in the comments.